Whenever you're ready.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Now, how do you want to start? Joe, you want to, or is Nan going to lead us through this one?
So I guess what we're going to start off with, hopefully, is the adoption of the comprehensive plan review as an addendum to the current 2015 plan. We want to make it clear that it's going to be adopted in its entirety, right? We're not eliminating anything.
Right.
Prior to doing so, we have to fill out a full environmental assessment form. So everybody knows Nan, and she's going to help us out with that. And so take it away, Nan, right?
Can she hear us?
Nan, can you hear us?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I guess just as a quick refresh, that the part one was filled out and you had quite some months ago that was forwarded on to the county when you did the county referral.
Yes.
So what you have to do now is you have to go through part two to see if there's any, whether adopting the comprehensive plan has any potential adverse environmental impacts. And then part three is you decide whether, if you've identified any moderate to large impacts, whether any of those are significant or not. And, so the filling out, and I assume you have, I don't know if Mary or someone else has a blank form, or if you've already worked on that.
I have one right in front of me, Nan.
Okay, so the board really needs to, so you haven't worked on going through it yet then, right, as a board?
No, and you have no.
Correct, we have not done that. And I have the full one, not the short one. Is that
Right.
correct? Is that what we should be using?
That is the correct.
Yes.
For a comprehensive plan is an automatic, what's called a type 1 action, so it needs the full form. So I guess the way to start would be I think if you had read the section F, which was the narrative that went along with the part one that I wrote several months ago, it has in there, let me just open that up again on my end. It has in there why it was kind of the rationale for why it's really an environmentally oriented update to the comprehensive plan. And I think that you need to think about the environmental analysis of doing a comprehensive plan. The action is adopting the plan. Adopting the plan itself doesn't have any impacts. It's the implementation of the plan that we really look at to determine whether there would be any impacts. But the hospitality study that you're adding to the comprehensive plan and establishing strategies to be implemented through zoning changes and other programs at some point in the future were all developed based on an environmental analysis that was done that looked at all of the environmental resources. We had community input that helped with the direction. We looked at traffic. We looked at all sorts of those factors that are considered in environmental analysis. And so the strategies themselves are designed to protect the environment of the town of Washington. So that section F, which was attached to the part one that you had previously looked for, kind of goes over and talks about why the plan and the subsequent actions that the board would take to implement that plan are really designed to limit or avoid environmental impacts or adverse environmental impacts. And the rationale for that was that it established the targeted overlay districts, so very specific locations that avoided sensitive environmental areas and focused development in areas that are already developed. It provides for density bonuses that promotes preservation of open space, that it talked about standards for architectural and site design that are oriented to the character issues. It talked about developing a natural resource inventory, which you're working on now. And it prohibited certain uses such as RV parks and commercial campgrounds that were felt to have adverse impacts. It talked about limiting the size of inns so that they're at the scale and intensity that was desired by the community and consistent with the environment, and so forth. So there were a lot of rationale and reasons why when the hospitality study was done with an eye towards the environment. So I only give that little refresher to you as background. So what you as a board need to do is go through part 2 and answer the questions and identify whether any of those questions have any adverse, likely, any kind of adverse impact to the environment by adopting that comprehensive plan. So I think that what the board has to do is look at part 2, and we can go through there's 18 questions and then sub questions that may or may not relate. I don't know if the board, do you want me to walk you through each one of those, or how do you want to proceed?
So, Nan, if I could say, this is Jeff Battistone, the attorney for the town. Yes, if you could walk us through question by question, that would be helpful.
Okay.
All the town members have the EAF form in front of them. So if you write, for instance, item number 1 is impact on land. If you indicate how you think we should fill that out, that would be helpful, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. All right. So the first major question is, so you have to think about each of these, is adopting the updated comprehensive plan going to have an impact on land? And that the kind of the framework is the proposed action, adoption of the plan, involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. So for adoption of a comprehensive plan, we're not going out there. It's not a site specific kind of action. So we typically, then that's not what you have to do. You have to answer this question yourself. But typically for a comprehensive plan, we look at that adopting the plan itself isn't going to have any physical construction. There may be physical construction that occurs in the town. There likely will be construction that occurs in the town. But I urge you to think about this question is the adoption of the comprehensive plan more impactful to the environment than you currently have now, or does it promote environmental protection? So I guess I would have that framework when you discuss that question.
So I would suggest to the board that they check.
I would say no,
Right.
definitely,
Exactly.
absolutely. Because we're just adopting an addendum. Anything we do after the addendum, any recommendation, then it might have an impact. And then we would have to go through this again.
Correct. When we,
But right
right, when
now-
you do the zoning
Right now-
update, you will have to go through the seeker to analyze the specific impacts of those zoning changes that you make.
Right,
Okay.
so,
Yep, so the second one is impact on geological features. Will the proposed action result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. And actually, if you look at what is part of this, I don't believe there are any of those unique landforms in the town of Washington that you would be confused. You don't have dunes or caves or fossil beds that, have shown up on, as far as I know, on the map. So you're certainly not, by adopting the plan, not impacting those features.
So I would say no,
No
Right.
there, yep.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Okay, 3 is on impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies. I'll remind you that the work that we did have a new map of streams and wetlands, and we looked at riparian areas and watersheds and sensitive environmental locations that informed how the recommendations in the hospitality study were made.
so at this time, it does not.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay. 4,
Similarly, on groundwater, the proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer. And I also point out that the hospitality study specifically looked at the village's watershed and your, not the watershed, the wellhead protection area. And we looked at where that was and how hospitality uses could impact, and our recommendations were specifically to protect that water source.
right, so
okay,
So
so that's
this is
a,
also no.
no.
okay,
Okay?
5,
5 is the impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on lands subject to flooding. So again, we specifically looked at floodplains and flood hazard areas and recommended the overlays for hospitality to specifically stay out of those areas.
So that's another no.
no,
Yes.
right,
exactly.
I think impacts on air, also Nan,
Right.
another no.
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
Impact on plants and animals, probably as well a no.
right,
Agricultural resources,
I don't
I
think
think
so.
also a no.
Right,
Aesthetic resources. The land use, the proposed action are obviously different from or in sharp contrast to current land patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource.
No, we definitely, no.
Impact on historic and archaeological resources. Proposed action may occur in adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. No, we
I
don't
don't
have any
believe so.
particular plans, ma'am, right? I don't even know how to really assess that.
But as
That
of
would be a
right
no,
now,
because
this,
we have no
right,
plan or designated, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we looked at historic resources and the again, in the context of the update to the comprehensive plan that looks at specific hospitality uses, we I think in terms of historic resources and historic character, that was the recommendations were specifically oriented to maintain your historic resources and your historic character.
Yep.
impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an
No.
open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan.
No.
Definitely not.
Same would go at impact on critical
Yeah.
environmental areas is a
Number
no.
12, no.
Well,
Impact on
just to make sure everyone understood, I'm not sure that there are any critical environmental areas designated in the town. Those are DEC, those are mapped and filed with DEC. They're a specific entity in and of themselves
Right.
for seekers, and I don't think there are any in Washington.
Okay.
Transportation would be.
Transportation would also be a no, for the same reason. Impact on energy would be a no. Impact on noise, odor, and light would be a no, because we have no specific plan that we can. Impact on human health would be a no. Consistency with community plan. The proposed action is not consistent with the adopted land use plan, so that's a definitive no.
Yeah, right.
Consistency with the character is also a definitive no, because that was so thoughtfully considered in
Right.
the addenda.
So,
So,
okay, so that takes care of that.
Yeah, and so, when you go through the zoning changes, these are certainly considerations to think about related to that, but I think those are logical and have rationale behind them, for the reasons that you gave. So the part 3 is really you have to look at first, were there any yeses that you picked on part 2? And then you're supposed to analyze those yeses in more detail to determine if those are significant. But since you had no to everything, then really what you would write, and I would recommend that you have a short sentence in that blank box underneath the bullet points where you reference the rationale and the narrative provided in section F, which explained all of these things in much more detail, and that the board went through the part 2 and found no moderate to large potential impacts.
got it.
And then you would just, on the bottom, you would check off that it's a type 1 action, which a comprehensive plan is absolutely by law, a type 1 action. And that you would check off that you reviewed parts 1, 2, and 3, because you did part 1 a couple months ago. And then I would say under review of information recorded on the EAF is noted, in the additional information that you used was the section F narrative from part 1. And certainly, all of the maps and documents included in the hospitality study, the appendices, and the 2015 comprehensive plan were things that were all used to get us to this point. And then one question was, back when you did part 1, did you pass a resolution establishing the town board as lead agency?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, so that then on that next line, you would write in that it is the conclusion of the town board of the town of Washington as lead agency, because that's what you passed a resolution for already. And then since you didn't find any significant adverse impacts, then you would check off the first box at A. So that means that you making a negative declaration, which means you found no significant adverse impacts to adopting this comprehensive plan update. And then you would just fill in the rest of those boxes. As you guys are the lead agency, and we usually put the supervisor's name as the responsible officer, and have him sign it and date it. And the only thing that you would need to do, Mary, it needs to be, you should have a file copy of the updated comprehensive plan, the part 1, 2, and 3, and a copy of the all of these things. And then I can tomorrow, if you don't have it already, for a negative declaration for a type 1 action, you have to put that in the environmental notice bulletin. It's just in a quick 1-page form that you email right to DEC. So that would finish up your seeker.
Great.
Thank you, Nan.
Yeah, so that should do it. And I think then you've had your public hearing, you had the county planning board review, you've gone through seeker. So you can choose to move forward on adoption of the plan by a resolution if you have that, if you want to do that and you're ready to do that.
We're ready.
Okay, yeah,
We're ready.
So I do think for the record that someone would make a motion to approve the parts 2 and 3 of the full EAF that the board has completed and to authorize the supervisor to sign part 3.
I make that motion.
second.
Aye.
Second,
Are you
Leslie,
seconding?
Leslie
Oh,
is
you're
seconding
signing,
it,
so I'll
right?
second that.
Yeah, all in favor, obviously.
Aye.
Is Bob voting? Okay, you're right.
Okay.
Just give me a note, please.
Yeah, you'll have to count my vote.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think you can now go right to the resolution adoption.
So should we read the resolution?
How long is it?
It's
Pretty
not,
lengthy.
not too long, page and a half.
Up to you.
Now, for page and a half, I read it.
Yeah.
I think it just got
Okay.
prepared today, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So Mary prepared this resolution, and just before we read it, we want to explain that we did receive comments from the Dutchess County Planning and Development. They've been posted on the website, correct, Mary? So we need to address some of the comments. Some of them we can't address at this particular time because we are not changing the comprehensive plan. We are just not doing that. We're adding this as an addendum. So what we have and what we are going to address, Mary explains nicely in the resolution, and you'll hear that now, okay? So whereas the the following resolution is offered by councilperson, that'll be myself, and seconded by councilperson
Meeting.
Haney. So resolution for adoption 2023 Town of Washington Comprehensive Plan Update. Whereas the comprehensive plan is a living document developed to help guide town decision-making policy, and whereas a comprehensive plan is not intended to be static, and whereas pursuant to New York State Town Law Section 272-A, which authorizes a town to develop a comprehensive plan, and that such plans should be updated to remain relevant and current. And whereas several issues have arisen in the town of Washington related to hospitality land uses that the town board needed evaluated, and whereas the town board appointed a comprehensive plan review committee and charged them with evaluating the 2015 comprehensive plan and making recommendations as needed, and whereas the specific tasks of the CPRC was charged with were whether the 2015 Town of Washington Comprehensive Plan should be amended to include and permit expansion of hospitality that aligns with historic rural character of the Town of Washington, and if it is determined that the 2015 Comprehensive Plan should be amended, one, to assist the CPRC in formulating recommendations to the Town Board for specific changes to the Comprehensive Plan, and two, draft proposed amendments to the 2015 Comprehensive Plan to hand up to the Town Board. And whereas the committee retained a team of consulting team led by Nan Stolzenberg of Community Planning and Environmental Associates with assistance from James Stout, a land use attorney, to assist them with their evaluation. And whereas the CPRC conducted extensive community outreach to understand public views about hospitality uses in Washington, conducted map analysis, and economic studies, and developed a final report that was submitted to the town board for their consideration in July 2022. And whereas this updated comprehensive plan incorporates in full the work of the CPRC, and its report, Appendix C of the plan, includes all data, maps, evaluation, discussion, and recommendations of the hospitality evaluation report shall be considered part of this plan update. And whereas the town board held a public hearing on the updated comprehensive plan in February 2023 and heard testimony from concerned citizens, and whereas Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development reviewed the proposed updated comprehensive plan and offered several recommendations and observations, and whereas the town of Washington has adopted parts 2, 3, and 3 under SEQA. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Washington does hereby adopt the 2023 Town of Washington Comprehensive Plan updated, dated April 20th, 2023, and now therefore be it further resolved that the Town of Washington Comprehensive Plan document is hereby incorporated in its entirety into this updated comprehensive plan, and now therefore be it further resolved that based upon input from Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development, page 4, first paragraph will be edited to add the following sentence. All maps included in the hospitality study will be edited to add the following sentence. All maps included in the, excuse me, pardon me, include hospitality study addenda and included in this update are new and updated as of July 2022 and are included for reference. All original maps from the 2015 plan also remain as part of the full comprehensive plan, and now therefore be it further resolved that as a first step in implementation of this update, which includes the 2015 plan and the hospitality study addendum, the town shall develop an implementation chart to guide the process. This chart shall identify the actions to be taken, list their priority, offer targeted timeframes, and suggest entities that can assist the town in implementing these recommendations. And now therefore be it further resolved that the town will continue to collaborate with the Village of Millbrook as needed during implementation activities.
Before the roll call, I did not include the names of the CPRC Plan Committee. Would you like them included in that resolution?
Sure.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Thank you.
Yes. And we want to note that the chairman has sent us an email stating the committee's approval with our actions in adopting this based upon the county's remarks. So that was nice of them to do that. So,
Okay, so the roll call vote would be, I would be an aye. Councilman Audi is absent, Councilman Murphy is absent, Councilman Rochford,
aye.
Councilman Heaney, Councilwoman Heaney, excuse me. Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah. Done.
Yeah, you needed some oxygen?
No, I mean, thank you to everybody. We made it, right? It's done, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, nice.
Okay.
Drinks at my house afterwards,
So part of that last part, the implementation and the chart and creating how we're going to, the process. Do you want to do that as a town board? Do you want to do that at a special meeting? Do you want to think about it?
I did, so Nan, do you want to maybe just provide a brief overview of the next steps that you emailed back to me? I think there are some decisions the town board needs to make. We probably should do that by a special meeting. But in terms of process, for the benefit of people that are on, who may have questions about what happens next.
Yeah, so I think that the way forward, some communities have another committee that works to draft the updates on your behalf. Other communities, the town board, takes on that role with a consultant and with an attorney to review things before they move forward. But I have found over the years that an efficient way moving forward is to have an initial meeting with whomever, whether it's a committee or the board itself, to make sure everybody's on the same page. We look at that implementation chart, which is kind of the roadmap to what things we're going to accomplish and when, in terms of the zoning update. And then like I said, I have found that an efficient way is, because it's really difficult to write zoning by committee. At least to start with a blank piece of paper. And so I usually take the policy direction from the plan and from the directions from the board, draft we work on the mapping, the overlay, based on the information we have in the plan, draft some updated language to address the pieces that need to be addressed. And then you guys, either the board or a committee that you appoint, would review it. Pretty much it's got to be, word for word and line by line, the changes would get reviewed until it's suitable and meets the goals of the community. And then that would go through the local law adoption process. It would, just like we did tonight, it would need a hearing, it would need county planning board review, it would need seeker before that could be adopted as a local law. So the local law would be an amendment to the zoning.
So we definitely just need to review it again and rehash and decide what we want to tackle first.
Right, that should be done by special meeting, though.
Yeah.
And Nan, you felt in terms of time frame that, it could, 6 months is a reasonable amount of time, your experience.
Yes, I wish that I could say that we could do it shorter than that, but my experience is that on my part, to get the mapping and the writing done is not the biggest lift in terms of time. The biggest lift in terms of time is the time you all need to review it and make sure that it's conveyed clearly and with the policies that you want. So it's really the review time that we need to incorporate into the time frame.
Do you want me to send an email to all the board members, to Nan and to Jeff, and try and get some mutual dates?
For starts,
Yes,
yes,
that would be
yes.
great.
Okay.
Just to yes, please.
Would you want to ask the comprehensive plan review committee members if they would like to continue to serve and perform that function? Or would you rather just do it as a candidate?
Well, let's decide, let's have the meeting first.
Okay.
And then see what we need to hash out and what we want to work on and see what we can handle.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's right. I made a note here, I thought that I had, was perhaps seeing if we want to engage a couple of planning board members or CAC and or zoning board members, but particularly planning and zoning, who were close to some of the issues that come up frequently in applications. And we've got some very strong former lawyers or retired lawyers that could help with drafting. And so lots of those boards.
Yeah, and I think I'd have to look it up, but most zoning laws also have a section in it that gives you the process for not for writing the amendments, but for adopting the amendments. And usually the planning board is formally the zoning updates are formally referred to the planning board for their advisory opinion. So that would go to them formally anyway.
Okay.
That's correct.
It is, yeah.
Right?
Ladies?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
A lot
Joe.
of work on
for your
that.
leadership.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Jeff, I have
All
a
right.
question on this next.
Thank you, Nan.
Thank you, Nan, so much. And Nan, thank you for joining us.
Yes, you're welcome, and congratulations, and send around some dates and we'll figure it out.
Thank you so much,
Terrific.
man.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Right. Jeff, I have a question on this, the public hearing for the video conferencing. Well, I think it would make sense if we waited to have a public hearing until we had all the policies that are going to.
You could do that. The local law that's up for adoption refers to a policy adopted by the town board. So if you want, and it's not ready yet, if you
Right.
want to get that policy together and have it available on the night of the public hearing, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think I'd rather
I
do
would
that.
open the public hearing tonight and then just simply adjourn it to next month. We would have that.
Okay. So someone, would you make that motion to open the public hearing?
Sure, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing regarding
Video
this local
conferencing.
law would allow members of public bodies to participate in public meetings by video conferencing technology.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any
Just
comments?
make a motion to adjourn that public hearing to whatever the date is in May.
May 11th, right?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Yes, it is, right
May
here.
11th.
Does anyone have any comments that are here specifically for this?
So we did discuss this, right, previous that
Yes,
if there was a special reason why they were not,
correct.
then yes, like obviously something beyond their control and they wanted to participate, like I just was away in Halifax, I would not assume that if the meeting couldn't have been changed, I would not have participated. I just would not have done that,
Right.
you know? So they got it was changed. Obviously, we needed myself here, but that's not normally the case. By extenuating circumstances, yes, but that's it.
Well, I think it's right, the state made this recommendation or came to municipalities
Right.
saying,
Mhm.
would we want to consider this because of kind of the new, sort of, I would say, normal practice of many businesses and municipalities using Zoom, should we not just be allowed to participate, but be allowed to vote, I think, Jeff, was that the big
Yes.
question?
Yeah,
Yes.
So we talked about, and I think the qualifier that the state suggested in the recommended language is in extraordinary circumstances. We would kind of need to define what that is, and if there's a certain number of meetings. I mean, I feel this group is very committed and used to being here in person every month, but there are extenuating circumstances or people
And
need to
it
travel.
goes along with the planning and the zoning boards as
Yeah.
well, so
Yeah.
we're not just speaking of us, so.
yeah, covers all of our boards.
Yeah, so we might want to think about that, and then if we want to come up with some guidelines for,
Yeah.
I think you suggested, Jeff, how many times people could do that in the course of a year, or there's different ways we can approach it. So,
So we'll table it. I mean, we'll leave it open, but table it until the May 11th meeting.
And I have reached out to the Association of Towns and several other towns to see for sample policies
Okay.
for the board to look at. So I'll
Okay.
send them on to all of you, and then you can take the best of the different policies.
right,
So
Thank you,
as
Mary.
part
So
of the
the-
motion, then you opened the public hearing, but did you,
we have not closed it, so
did you table it until May 11th?
Yes.
Keeping it open
Yeah.
until then. I think you just need to vote on that.
Well, so I'll make a motion to table it until the next meeting, May 11th.
Leslie, a second.
yes, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have, I was going to talk to James about this, but since it's on the agenda, we have
James is here.
what's that?
James is here.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier. Doug Giles from Walbridge Farm applied for a building permit, correct me if I'm wrong, James, for an agricultural building, which, as I understand, is just basically a shell, right, pretty much?
Yes.
Um,
For what? What's it for, just storage?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I guess. What is he gonna put in it, do you know?
I believe it's a barn for livestock and agricultural equipment.
The fee for the building permit was $2,130 based on the square footage. The agricultural buildings as defined in New York state law, and correct me if I'm lying here, doesn't require inspections, am I right? And there's no certificate of occupancy or any of that.
They're not bound to the construction or related provisions of the building code, which really reduces the workload that goes into it on my end, because I can't require the inspections, even though I typically recommend them just for documentation purposes. But the only thing their agricultural buildings are bound to is the local zoning code. So really, the application is the zoning review, and that's it.
So,
I mean, that's a pretty hefty fee for a barn, but I also, I feel like we should have a discussion with AKRF. We made just to get some recommendations from them about
from
how
who?
AKRF, we
Oh.
did that fee structure with them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's probably a way that they handle it, because if we want to waive for maybe there's a one-time fee for, I don't know, something. That would be my knee-jerk reaction to it.
Okay.
But
I mean, it's not something we need to decide on
Yeah.
tonight. But
We had a similar situation at Raleigh Farm. They paid a fee similar to this, and then Jesse requested that the fee be waived, and we went through the process of looking into it. Ag and Markets, the attorneys were involved, and we ended up refunding most or all of it. And there may be a fee for a certificate of occupancy, or I'm not sure what you have to do. I can't quite recall what, if
So-
any, what you had to do involved in this. So there may be a small fee for our little bit of work that has to be
Right.
done.
Okay,
yeah, but I mean, that sounds a little
So-
reasonable that that fee is
This
based on
is
square
not-
footage.
Yeah.
this is not a precedent, and we've allowed for agriculture to be reimbursed before then,
We have,
correct?
yes.
Right.
So based
I
on,
think we should create a policy though, I think we should have just ask Aaron, and we could even do it at the next, I don't know if we need to, does he need to have an answer right now? Because I'd like
No.
to have it just be not in response to one, but just to come up with a proper
Like a
policy for how
blanket.
we do it, since we've had this issue in the
Yeah,
past,
and
it's
it's
gonna come up
probably-
again.
right,
yeah.
right.
if the board doesn't act tonight, will it delay his work?
Not at all. We can discuss what
Okay.
happened.
Okay, so then-
It's not starting until June.
Just, if you
Okay.
could just let him know that we're
Yes,
working on the form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
and I will email Aaron tomorrow,
Yeah.
just get on it, and then we can figure out what,
Yeah.
have a proper,
Yeah,
policy.
I mean,
for
that's why,
everybody,
yeah,
'cause
I
that
agree
doesn't
with
seem
that.
reasonable.
And next is schedule a special meeting.
So, all right,
Yeah.
I'm
Just
sorry.
want to say,
Oh, hi, Richard.
you may want to consider whether that parcel is within an agricultural district, whether you're going to grant that or not. Because people that are not within an agricultural district may say they're building a barn for some use. So you have to
point.
really think about that.
That's,
Yeah, it has
that's
to
sort of
be-
what I was thinking
yeah,
in
good
terms of
idea,
the
good
precedent,
point,
we
yeah.
have to be specific about the language, because I think someone could just say,
Right.
it's an ag building, I'm building a barn, or storing hay in the bottom, but I have a 3-bedroom apartment, or whatever it is.
If
We
they're
just wanna give
already
it some thought.
Titled to agriculture,
Yeah.
then
Or
yes,
if it-
but,
Yeah, I mean, he has a
you know,
working
somebody on Front Street
farm, and
can't.
Raleigh Farm is
yeah.
a working farm.
Okay,
Just needs-
Thanks, Richard. Good point. Schedule a special meeting to discuss the zoning amendments, local law changes by planning board, CAC.
okay,
So that is in
It's
response
related.
to, as we were going, and actually, Nan, I think Joe and I discussed this, we perhaps think in retrospect, I think initially we thought that we'd do all of the code changes at the same time, so there wouldn't be multiple public hearings, but because we have a specific amount of resources dedicated to phase 2 of this project as it relates to the hospitality addendum, We don't want to conflate the two and do it all at once. We want to do the hospitality first and then work on the code updates, because just some things as we've engaged the consultants, we've noticed that there's some language that can be fine-tuned. There's some issues that have come up that we might want to revisit. And so we asked planning, zoning, CAC, and Aaron Warner, our consultant, to come give us a list of things we might want to look at in the code. Like there's some language around non-conforming structures. There's a bunch of different examples that they gave. And so we should go through that. It just will be a lengthy process. It would definitely require a special meeting just for that.
But we can't, see what happens is when we go through the next phases of the hospitality, we can't merge that with zoning, other zoning, because we have funding for this. And we have to keep this separate, so.
But I think we can, if we're doing, having a special meeting, we want to go through that document, or maybe if we can think about how we want to organize that. Maybe there's a group that gets together to talk through that with the town board. But Aaron actually would be a great person to bring in to talk to us about it, because he could just give us points of reference.
Yeah,
in
I
other
mean,
towns
he
and
could,
what works
exactly,
and-
we
yeah.
could set up a meeting with him, and he could
Yeah.
go down through the list, and we can,
Just
what
on
we
this,
wanna
but
do.
separate
Yes.
from the hospitality
okay.
work.
Yeah.
All right.
So we can schedule a meeting for that,
Okay.
but after we catch our breath.
Yes. Okay. Payment in lieu of taxes. We, something that we need to talk about, whether it's tonight or at another meeting. But we're getting, we're gonna have some large pieces of property that are gonna become non-taxable. And, I think seriously, we need to consider whether we can, establish a law or a procedure or to ask for these entities if they're willing to cooperate in that regard.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's for another meeting to talk about that, because it's coming up soon. And,
To say for the record, I think the Justice Land Conservancy acquired a piece of property,
Yes.
they indicated to the town that they would be willing
They
to
are,
negotiate
and it
a
actually-
Exactly.
Yes,
with the town, so.
I think
That's
they
right.
actually offered to
yeah,
give
they
the
did.
same amount as what
Correct.
what their town taxes, what that property has been paying for a certain period of time. I don't think that if it is a not-for-profit, school or other entity, as a municipality, we can ask it of them, but we can't, create a law saying they have to do that, because they're
I don't know the answer to
not
it
a
quite.
taxable, yeah.
If there's an application before a planning board for
Yeah.
subdivision approval or site plan approval, you make it a condition of approval, and they agree
okay.
to it, and you address it that way.
Okay. So it's worth discussion. That it would be great, Jeff, if there's any other, towns that have anything similar that they've done, but I think with that particular piece, with the Wallbridge piece, they have agreed to do that. And I don't know if I believe we have that memorialized in a letter from them.
Yes.
But if there's another property that we're thinking of, or others, that maybe we should just have a blanket policy on
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, there is another.
Okay.
So, we'll put it
Okay.
on the back burner.
It's in our,
Danielle, lady nice and quietly over there for us. You want to give us your report?
Hi, everybody. I'm Danielle. I'll start with our egg hunt. It was Friday, March 31st. It was a twilight egg hunt for the older kids. It was very successful. Mostly fifth graders. They loved being out there with flashlights, hiding or looking for eggs. We had to move our regular egg hunt to Sunday due to weather. It was also quite successful. As long as it was about 100 people showed up for it. I'd like to thank the Recreation Commission for jumping in when I couldn't be there, especially Heather. We have a Recreation Commission on April 12th. And we discussed all the things that I'm going to mention here tonight. Most importantly, that we heard back from the county about the grant and that we were awarded $100,000 for upgrades to our town pool building. Those will include heat and air conditioning at that building, new ADA compliant doors with handicap automatic buttons for opening. There will be a division in the room, upgrades to the bathrooms, handicap parking, and the project is to create a space for senior citizens. We've already started having a meeting about this and how to make it happen. Mary Alex was there, Leslie Heaney was there, and Chrissy Briggs to work on the first phases.
I don't want to interrupt you, but our county legislator here, who's very helpful and put in better support for our application. Give a shout out to Deirdre for
Yeah,
her help with that.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
We hired a maintenance groundskeeper. His name is Jonathan Alonso, and he's working out fantastic. Cleaning up the park, fixing mechanical issues, organizing equipment and tools. He's self-motivated. He is working closely with Bob Audio's list of things to do. He's taken on office responsibilities to the highway department. He's working with plumbers now to get the water ready for the pool. And we're thankful to have him with us. For getting ready for camp, we've already had 20 interviews with camp counselors and lifeguards. We are hiring our health director, our waterfront director, pre-K to first director, arts and crafts director, and a camp director. Pavilion rentals are, every day we're getting a new pavilion rental. So if anyone's interested in that, make it happen fast. Just to go quick.
No kidding.
In the past, we've had camp sibling discounts, and discounts have been pretty high. So I would ask for you to consider a different rate for those sibling discounts. The discount happens if you have a third or more children that go to camp. So in the past, the discount has been $160 for residents and $180 for non-residents. I propose instead of that amount, we use a 15% discount moving forward. Our camp is really reasonably rated. The rate that you're paying for child daycare is under $5 for a resident and under $50 for non-residents. So this
Per
discount-
hour, that's per hour,
per
right?
hour. So I think that this 15% discount is pretty reasonable
Right.
considering. That's it.
Can we just have a motion to appoint the individuals on the agenda to, as camp staff?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Had to know what I was seconding it for.
You were doing it.
And may we also have a resolution to accept Danielle's recommendation for the 15% discount for 3 or more children in camp.
All right, so let's review.
Okay,
How much for one?
There's no discount, how much?
How much?
for
How much?
rate?
Yep.
Go to camp, $390.
15% off of that is what?
That would only be on the third child.
Okay, okay,
It is $58.50
okay.
as opposed to 100.
So they're paying 300 and something per child,
That's correct.
and you're only taking 50. That doesn't seem like much to me, coming from a family of 10. Yeah, my poor mother. That does not seem like
There
much
is
of a
scholarship
discount.
money for people that need it, for 10 children.
Okay.
But the entry rate for the camp is very reasonable to
Okay,
begin with.
okay.
So that's how we
Okay.
ride with that.
Well, if everybody else is in favor, I'll go along with it. I just want to make it clear that
There aren't many people that.
hopefully you won't see a decline. and then maybe we'll revisit if you do. All right,
So then
Fair
you
enough.
need a motion and a
Fair enough.
second and,
Yeah,
So-
I'll make a motion to approve.
yeah, I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We could, Danielle, you can always direct people to the scholarship application. Thank you.
So Leslie, there's a second little interest there about
Yeah, I
fundraising.
was gonna put that on,
Your other
I won't
report?
take up too much time because we have so much on the agenda, but I did speak with one of the members of the committee that's raising money for the Stanford Park.
Okay,
And what they've done is really terrific. A member there who was part of their big fundraising effort 30 years ago went to the supervisor and said, I'd really like to help, refurbish the tennis courts and redo the playground. And so they actually created a separate entity with its own board to do that. And then that group did kind of what we did with the CPRC survey. They had open houses, they sent out email surveys, full resident input and buy-in, and then they went back to the town board for their kind of stamp of approval. They've come up with 3 different phases. They're having fundraisers, and they've been really successful. So I have their charter, I have their deck that they did for when they sit down and do fundraising. And so I think it's something we should consider. This is another special meeting, Mary, on our special meeting list, but there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about doing up at our park, and we've got a great first step in winterizing that building, but we too have talked about pickleball courts and refurbishing the basketball courts. We need to pave the driveway. There's a bunch of things that we need to do there too, and I know that there are residents, or I think that there are residents would really be behind us in that project. So what I need to do, Danielle, I took notes on my call. I'll circulate it to everybody, and then I will give you all the stuff, and then you and we can sit down with Mike, or, and kind of think about a plan and think about maybe having a group, because there's only so many hours in the day, Joe, for us to be doing all that stuff. It's great to get residents involved, and I think ours would be kind of much more historically, I think, active rec department. A lot of people from Stanford come to our rec for soccer and other things, so I feel like we would get a really good response from our community on this. So
yeah, good, great, thank you. James, give us your report, please.
Not much of a change in overall numbers over the course of March. 43 inspections, 3 fire inspections, 15 permits issued, 5 renewed. Roughly no overall change in number of expired permits. Complaints received, complaints outstanding, and complaints resolved resulted in about the same balance at the end of the month than when we started, but that's to be expected. Zoning, 8 municipal searches, 1 FOIL request, 1 complaint remains open, 1 was resolved. Details are in the report. Questions I have to answer, but
No,
that's about it.
no. Just if you would touch base with Doug Giles,
Absolutely.
okay, just let him know that we're working on it. Thank you, James, appreciate that. Anybody have any questions for him? Joe?
Okay, your salt's going up, again,
What is it gonna go up to, do you know?
$76.73. That is the county bid. County bid is actually lower than the state bid.
Well, we were paying 75 now, I think.
No, actually, we were paying $71.98. We were paying as high as $90.
Yeah,
When we went on the bid. Since we went on the bid, and somebody opened up a new shed, very large shed. So we got a good price for it for a year, but now, with the increase in oil, gas.
yeah, no
that's
doubt,
where
sure.
this is- That's where it's all going.
Yeah,
So, it's up. I took the opportunity to build a shed at a lower price. This does not go into effect until,
Okay.
I need a motion to go to bid for a new dump truck, 3,500. Obviously, we have the one down at the park, the one's so we'll be short one. Probably I can buy it this year, I believe. Mary, correct me if I'm wrong. We do a ban. We don't start paying it until next year. So, that much.
How much?
Budget, it'll be budgeted for next year.
How much, Joe?
Haven't gotten prices yet. I'm gonna go through the state.
Okay. Like the
we're going through
OGS?
this- the reason I haven't gotten them yet is because to fill out the form to go through the state bid, you have to approve the motion.
Okay. So I make a motion.
Sequences.
I make a motion for Joe to go ahead.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, and then I'll come back
Ah,
to you
yeah.
with the prices, obviously.
No, I was just, just to see how
Well, I
much.
know, I thought I would have a price for you also, but that's not how it works. Oak Summit, culvert repair, I guess you're gonna get a call, or an email any day now.
So that hasn't happened then, eh?
No, they
I thought it was
said-
gonna be the beginning
It's
of
at the beginning of April,
Yeah,
but.
yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
The state didn't pass the budget though either, so that might have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might
Sure
have
it
to
does.
do with it.
Yeah.
Wood writing, we've actually made our way around, we did the, roads for the marathon. I've done in one piece.
Yeah.
We're at the top of Tower Hill now, I wonder if I start that. Some fill in there, some spots, but, no, it doesn't look too bad so far.
Where do we stand with Killearn Road?
The survey is being worked on, I believe. Yeah, so the survey work is to be completed by May 15th. As when you sign your contract with the provider.
Got it. So, as an FYI, maybe you know about this, Dutchess County is going to replace the bridge on Burbank Road.
Correct.
There, and they're also gonna revamp that turn there off of South Road. So they're currently in the design process right now. The plan is that permitting property acquisitions between now and mid-late 2024. Bid in the fall of 2024 and construction in 2025. The road will be closed for 4 to 6 months. So what I thought, and he's going to contact me later this year when the design process is done and come to a meeting and kind of lay it all out. And I thought what we would do is invite the people that are going to become impacted by that
Oh, sure.
down there to ask any questions, because the only detour really is going down
82,
All the way to 82, yeah.
82.
Wow.
which is actually quicker, by the way.
Yeah.
Granted, I can't tell you how many times that people just keep
They say like 4 miles if I'm,
just keep taking that South Road all the way through.
But for the residents that live on Burbank, how do they get off of Burbank?
You know,
They gotta go-
Burbank on Burbank Village.
All
Yeah,
the way that
that's
other
the
way.
only way, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
No
you know.
kidding.
Yeah, no, I was aware of some of those.
So we would just have to kind of figure out who's down there and how to contact them and,
Yeah, no,
Well, Rob, Jeff,
yeah, like Rob said.
Jeff, Alan, Rob,
Yeah.
maybe a list.
and there's people that further, a little bit further down. So just wanted to let you know that, okay? Okay. Deidre, did you have anything you have a report for us?
I do have a couple things, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. It's just,
Just before you get started, I don't know if Joe's leaving or not, but we have the timber harvesting
Oh, geez. I
local
forgot
law
about that.
attached to this agenda.
Okay,
Do you want to read it and then maybe schedule a public hearing next month, or do you want to schedule a
Yeah.
public hearing next month?
I'd like to read
Read
a
it
little bit
first,
more.
okay, yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay with you, Joe?
yeah, no, fine. I only suggested it because it's meeting a very large.
Do you have a copy of it?
Huh?
Do you have a
I
copy?
do,
What?
I do.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry. Deidre.
so thank you for allowing me to speak. Just timeliness about, bridge repairment. The gentleman from, the engineer from the county came to the village board meeting the other night and gave a presentation very similar to what you're discussing about the Stanford Road Bridge.
Hmm.
That's going to be replaced. And right now, they're doing exactly what you said, the design phase is done, they're finalizing it, and they're starting to do the easements with property owners to get access. But that bridge on Stanford Road will also be closed for 4 to 6 months. And they're working with the village board on how to best suit the tour.
That's where the waterfall is?
That is exactly where the waterfall is, yes.
Yep.
Most people don't know it's a county-owned bridge. It's not a county-owned road, but the county
Yeah,
owns that
bridge.
bridge. So they came to the meeting and they were actually great and worked very closely with the village board on detours and information. So I think it's important to invite the people who are going to be impacted.
Oh, for sure.
The county, on the county level, obviously I want to congratulate Danielle and Leslie and Mary on that awesome CDBG grant. As I've said to you guys many times, you can't get grant money if you don't apply. So the application is huge and it's awesome that you guys did that and got the money. And also the village applied for a grant. As you know, they were awarded last year the CDBG for phase 1 of sidewalk replacement, which is going to take place currently now. You'll see the cones are out between Alicia Adams Alpaca up to basically the Millbrook Floral Design store. That section is being done. And now they just were awarded phase 2. So the village is going to go ahead and start on phase 2. And I think they were awarded $150,000. So between the village of Millbrook and the town of Washington, I think we got $250,000 in county money. So that
That's
was
pretty good.
great, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a full sidewalk replacement?
Full sidewalk replacement. Yeah. If you recognize, like in front of the pharmacy and
Sure.
the flower shop, it's the brick.
Yeah.
It doesn't freeze the same.
Yeah.
It thaws differently.
The trees are getting too
Slippery,
huge as
tree
well,
roots.
the roots.
So, and
They
I
gotta
believe they
go.
were taking those trees down and
Yeah.
they're gonna replace them with a tree that is more hospitable to sidewalk, usage.
Yeah.
Also on the county level, I just wanna let everyone know, the hazardous waste dates are out. You can go on the county website, dutchesscounty.gov, and you must pre-register if you're hazardous waste that you wanna remove from your home, batteries, paint, things like that. You can go online and register, and the dates are released. I believe the first one's coming up in May, but they do fill up quickly. So if you have something you want to dispose of, go online and register for that. And then lastly, just at our meeting, we are contemplating another tax situation with the seniors and people with disability. In December, the governor allowed for towns, municipalities, counties, school boards to look at the maximum allowable as based on income.
Yep.
So we are going to debate on the floor and probably raise, I think right now, currently seniors are considered at $24,000. They get the deduction. And I think on the county level, we're gonna raise it to $50,000. And that will just be on the county portion of the tax. It's for seniors and persons with disability on a very low income. But that's basically what's going on.
Good,
right now.
yeah. Good report.
Oh, one last thing. Tomorrow, the veterans, the county is doing the new veteran one-stop shop
Yep.
on Route 44.
Yep.
So any veteran who has any needs in the county, Vet South America, Vet to Vet, the county Veterans Affairs, they're all in that one building now. So tomorrow they're having an open house. So ribbon cutting is at noon, I think 12:30 to 1:30. You can go in and it's for anybody. It's veteran, non-veteran, loved one of a veteran. Go in and see what services are available from the county, and that's tomorrow. Right on Route 44, the old medical arts building, kind of across from like Silva Armory.
Yep.
Right now.
Yep, got it. Cool, thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm sorry, does anybody have any questions?
No, thanks, Joe.
Deirdre, I have a question for you. We had applied for a grant for about $5,000 for zoning, assistance with zoning updates.
Mhm.
And I know when I spoke with the woman from the county, she said there were more applicants this year than in the past, and they had not made a decision at that time. Do you know where that has gone, or?
No, I can reach out tomorrow and ask, and
Thank you.
oftentimes if there's more applicants, then, we can always raise the legislature can raise the funding.
Okay.
So I'll certainly reach out to Owen Rafter tomorrow, the Commissioner of Planning,
Mm-hmm.
and just ask him where there. Is this the PACE grant?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll ask.
thank you.
Is Lisa here? She,
I thought she was in the building, but she
She
might,
was earlier.
yeah.
but-
hey Lois, you want to go ahead and give us your
Sure.
report, please?
The bank reconciliations through the end of March are all completed and balanced. Gary, I just need to transfer $10 from one account, 30 from another, and it'll be perfect.
Okay.
I have the bank balances there, again, for your information. I have to call the bank, I keep forgetting that the assessor's reval money,
Mhm.
does not show up on the list. I'm gonna call the bank and, you'll be able to see that dollar
Okay.
amount too.
Right.
The monthly revenue from the Justice Court has been received from Betsy Chiefline and from Jess Patterson through February. I think momentarily, Kristen will have the March reports for us. The building department report has been received for March, as well as the town clerk's March 2023 report. Transfer billing and deposits are up to date. We had a couple of our town residents who were a little bit behind, came through and paid their balances, so it's
Okay.
looking a little better and all. It seems like if I send out statements of their accounts occasionally, we get the revenue a little quicker. Instead of waiting until I bill them, send a statement with it, I think it confuses them. I know there's postage involved, but it seems to work better. I have the annual financial return completed. I just received an okay from Denise that everything looks good. So I will print that out for Gary to look at, and when I see his approval, I will submit it, so probably on Monday. So that's good, and then after that, we can post that on the website.
Okay.
So that's completed.
Right.
And I also have completed the annual ARPA compliance report. That was due at the end of this month as well.
Mm-hmm.
I attached Excel spreadsheets for you to review, where our expenses have been. I keep track of each category that we appropriated for.
Yeah.
So I think we still have building improvements that we haven't used. We set aside a little bit for Corn Road we haven't used.
Okay.
And also the park and pool improvements.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, Mike.
I had completed the payroll returns as well. So the federal and state returns are submitted as well. I have one budget amendment still for 2022. It involves the health insurance line. It looks like we have overexpended, but because of the way we have to report the employee contributions, employee contributions have to be put in a revenue line instead of offsetting that expense line.
Mm-hmm.
So Denise said it's okay to increase the revenue line, you don't get penalized for that, to offset the expense line. I don't know if that makes sense.
Sure.
I don't like it, I feel like it's not giving us a true number, but that's the way the state wants it done, that's the way we're doing it.
Okay.
So just so you understand, like looking at it, why did we go
Yeah.
over on health insurance expense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We did not.
Okay.
Good.
So, that's it, that's what I got.
Good. That's good.
A lot of submissions this month.
Right. Thank you.
So we need a
So you
motion.
need a motion to move money then?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to amend the 2022 budget.
Yeah, okay, so I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Oh, second, you look,
Yeah.
you do a
Mike,
second. I was
any-
confused there.
you want a second?
Sorry.
Second, but I wasn't hearing the report, so maybe I shouldn't.
Shit, okay. Somebody?
That's all right.
Vote?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Yes,
Aye.
So, Lisa, did you want to give us, you ready for your report?
Sure. It's pretty light this year. Or not this year, I'm sorry, this month. This year has not been light. So we're just wrapping up the role. I mean, they ideally wanted it in on 4/15, but I was really taking extra week. So, yeah, we'll be sending that off for the next Tuesdays. Probably they get that to them. And, what else? Duchess Ding thing we talked about, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna be discussing that separately
Yeah,
at another meeting.
right, okay. What else?
Grievance Day
Oh, yes, grievance day.
this year, May 23rd.
Yep, we are all set, we have a new member.
Okay.
The BAR, and, yeah, so we've got a full crew, and, you know, it should go well. They need to do the training again, they're going to their training. Remember, and then one person that be out this time.
The new member is Steve, right?
Steve, yes, Curly.
Yeah, he'll be an asset to you, for
Yeah,
sure.
he used to be on the AR in Stanford.
Yeah, he's good.
years ago.
Yeah.
So, he's, you know, a farmer basically, he's solid, so,
Yep,
you know, we have a lot of ag, so it's actually good to have another person on the board that knows that area. So, a lot of that, as you don't know. So, but yeah, we've just been really busy. It's been a busy year.
Great.
It's good. Michael's back, part-time.
Yeah,
that's good.
Or he's part-time. He's moving back into things too. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
good.
it's been a long recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for, I mean, I do have some things on my to-do in the future. With the exemptions and stuff, but we're gonna handle that with the building department. And do all of them in one shot, what I understood. Just to proceed and get it compliant.
Okay.
But, yeah, we'll get to that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks
absolutely. Any
Thanks for the
questions?
report. Any questions?
All right, great,
Thank you.
good, absolutely.
Mary, I guess it's your turn.
It's my turn, yeah. I realize I have more that we have to go over than I have on my list, so sorry about that. So tax collection, town has been paid $4,638.10 this month for the 2% penalty fees paid by residents as well as bank interest. And we made a payment to the Dutchess County Commissioner of Finance, $3,389,966.92. So they're happy to have that money. There was a new law adopted by New York State regarding marriage officiants. So the new law is that people can come to the town clerk's office and request a one-day license for a specific couple. The fee for that is $25, and the town retains the $25 fee. So that went into effect the end of March, and we are doing that now. That would save people from going online and becoming a minister through some of the online services.
So if I wanted to marry somebody, I'd just pay $25 and
Yep, you have to have the couple, though.
no kidding.
Yep, yep. That's all you need to make it official. Just have to show your driver's license and you're good, Joe.
Oh, Lord. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yep. We've completed the insurance renewal application for 23-24, and I want to thank my coworkers, Danielle, Lois, Joe, and Kathleen for assisting with that process. We have provided municipal emails to all Board of Ethics members. They have requested that, so there's no mix-up between town emails and their personal emails. We have not put any money in the budget for the Board of Ethics, so we need to make sure we remember that for the budget next year. Transfer station permits for the new season have been ordered, and we will be sending renewal letters beginning in May. One thing I wanted to ask the board about is we had increased escrow fees in earlier this year. And there are some projects that don't necessarily need to expend or put out the extra escrow money that we requested, things for simple lot line changes. Some of the costs are more than what their own professionals are, they're paying their professionals to do the service. So our costs of our professionals really should not be exceeding their own professionals. They shouldn't be paying $8,000 in escrow fees for a project that they're paying $2,500 for. So
Right, yeah.
I am suggesting that the town board authorize and allow the planning board or zoning board of appeals the ability to modify the established escrow fees on a case-by-case basis if
Sure.
they
Makes
seem that it's warranted.
Yes, so do
Absolutely.
you need a motion for that?
Yes, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's good. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Before I turn the page, as you know, we have been in discussion about a new website, updating our website similar to the Village of Millbrook. We have engaged a company. You've all received the information on that, and we will begin working on that probably within the next week or two. And I have asked Natalie Thorpe to work with me on putting together everything that should be on the website, reviewing it, and she's excited to take that task on, and she's also volunteered to work on social media as well. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's nice to have a
Nice.
young person here who
Yeah.
understands all of that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
You have all received a copy of the proposed sexual harassment prevention policy. It's also included in the back of the agenda here. And it's based upon changes made by New York State. So we need to, if it's okay with you, we need to adopt it. Or if you want more time to review it, we can adopt it in May. But we will need to do so before the young people start working at our summer camp programs.
Yeah.
When's that?
In June.
End of May,
End of May?
Memorial Day.
Okay, so May would be it.
You want to adopt in May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mary, will that also coincide with the annual education we do for staff?
Yes. Yeah. And then also Pam and I have been,
Corporate ethics?
yeah, so we'd like to incorporate the ethics training as well for everybody that hasn't had it yet.
So I was gonna ask if, whenever you'll let us know the other day, so I can tell, there's a couple of planning board members that missed their training. I'm
Mhm.
sure there will be some other zoning and.
Yeah, I think we'll probably need 2 dates, just, based on, here's a, meeting date for all of us, for everybody that hasn't had it, and then we'll get our stragglers one last time.
Okay.
The Board of Ethics has also scheduled several meetings going out further through the year, just to be on the calendar. And if they don't need those meeting dates, they will cancel. But I will advise you all of the dates. I just forgot to copy and paste them into the agenda tonight.
I think one in September and the other in December.
Yes, yeah. We spoke last year, and the Millbrook Village, the Millbrook Fire Department received a grant from Dutchess County to place some training building on the property at the town park. And they did have some training there last week in the old house that's on the property. Ted contacted me kind of last minute to see if they could cut holes in the building and do some work knowing that we're going to be tearing the building down. So it was after hours the day that they were doing it. So I said yes, as long as that they contacted the insurance company and sent us certificates of insurance, which they did that day. But I highly suggest that you enter into some sort of agreement with the Village of Millbrook. I'm not saying that you charge them, but I think that we need an agreement that we're allowing the fire company to use our facility, and that, everything that's happening there is under the village, not under the town.
Yes, right.
Yeah, so,
Like if something happens, their insurance picks it up. Right?
exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So, do you want to ask Jeff
Yeah,
to draft something along that line?
That's the building. Yeah, they have-
An intermunicipal agreement, yeah.
Set the building out at the,
By the
The
dump.
dump.
yeah, Bobby's been working on that.
Right, well, that building is going to be removed,
Yes,
and then they are going to start working on constructing something there. So we really need a site plan from them,
I think
telling us what they're
there's
doing.
some conversation with the fire department. So-
Are they going to have to go to the planning board for that? All that kind of?
I don't know.
something there?
That's interesting. That would
I would
probably be part of the.
think that they would.
agreement, right?
I
It's a
think our-
town property, yeah.
Right?
I think so. I mean, the property is in the town, so I think they would have to.
James,
Yeah,
is that a
right.
if they were doing construction out of that site, they need a permit.
I don't know if I put it on this one, but 98% probability that that would be the case.
Is this for fire training purposes?
Yes.
Yes. Building a building.
Make them go before the planning board for site plan approval for a building that they set fires in and train on, is that? right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The neighbors might want to know about it.
They're not-
Yeah, there's going to be
Right.
fires and they,
yeah,
you know what I
Bond
mean? Like
design.
for the very simple case, yeah.
yeah.
And the building that they're tearing down, right?
Hey, Bob.
Do we know if that's any
Can-
asbestos or
can he-
anything in that?
I don't know. It should be.
Can you, hey, Bob, you want to chime in?
You're still muted, Bob.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you were
Thank
muted.
you, Margaret.
Yeah, well, basically, we've been wanting to tear that building down for a long time. And I think now we'll get it torn down for free. And the fire chief was waiting for some direction from the county on how to proceed with this grant that they got. They were looking for the particulars, and I've contacted the chief several times, and he has not had complete set of instructions on how to go about all this. But the primary thing is that the grant will allow them to do it on our property. I've spoken to the chief about the need for indemnification by us, and so I think they have 2 years to do this. So they have till the end, I believe, of 2024 or the beginning of 2025. So we have plenty of time to work out any kinks in it, but I think it'll be to our advantage. We'll get rid of that old building. That's a little bit of an eyesore, and it'll be a good thing for the community to have on-site training for our fire people. And it's well out of the distance of any homeowners. They do practice there now, cutting cars up and stuff and then removing them. So it's a good thing all the way around. I think it'll end up, once we work out the kinks, it'll be fine.
Good.
Any demolition permit requirement in the code, I should know. Does anyone know?
We do.
So a fire to demolish a building, it's to get demolition.
They won't be doing a fire to demolish. We'll be taking the construction down. They're not allowed to burn it down anymore. Those days are over. So,
Yeah, they have to do a full environmental assessment of the building. Any asbestos has to be removed.
Yeah.
Years
So
ago.
maybe, would it make sense
Years ago,
then,
they
maybe,
just burned
Bob,
Right.
you know what they're thinking about doing, maybe they can, whoever from the fire department can connect with James, and James can tell them what they might need, or whether it's something that needs to be referred to the planning board. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they already know, but they have to get it torn down first, so let's,
Yeah, so if the fire
Yeah.
company starts with James,
Yeah.
because telling him
Yeah.
what they want
Yeah.
to do, and then he can
Yeah.
advise them and us from there. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Bob, we didn't forget your list of suggested things that needed to be talked about for buildings and grounds. Danielle has been working with Jonathan on several of them, and I want to say that I am so impressed with the work that Jonathan is doing. It is truly delightful to have somebody here around the building taking care of things, and
Good.
it's just great reflection on his work ethics, what he's doing, and I think he'll be a really good long-term member of our team, so. Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
Great.
wonderful.
And James and Jonathan worked together on getting estimates for the deck here, what has to be done on the deck, and they put a nice package together.
Saw that.
So
No RFPs needed.
no RFPs needed. Yeah, and we expect the work to be done in September. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. All right, I'm not done.
Not done?
Not done. Now, general code and finally getting our zoning onto the general code system and onto the website. We have a couple of questions that I thought we had covered everything. It pertains to a definition of family limits and the number of unrelated persons. So I'm going to be sending you a few more documents that I need you to review prior to us being able to get this fully completed.
Okay,
So if you can review them, get back to me with answers, and then we can get this done.
okay.
Yeah. Six,
Right.
yeah.
In your zoning code, you have a definition of family.
Right,
It does say a group not more than 6 persons related. Here.
right. And then Sarah had given examples of different scenarios of what you might consider to be okay or not okay for relatives or not be related. I guess there's been problems with communities
Outlaws. right.
that have college students living in apartments and things like that. So
I actually thought the limit was 4. I see in your code it's 6.
6 in our, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we need just to clean up a couple of things. All right, so I'll get that to you folks. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Deirdre.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Mary. Joe?
All right, so the Millbrook Fire Department budget, I can't speak on that tonight because I need to have a further conversation with Tim. Okay, the Zoning Board of Appeals, they had their meeting on April 18th. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 items on the agenda. The first one, Upton Lake Christian School, area variance for a peaked roof on proposed high school. That is yet again tabled. The decision from the town, the planning board as the lead agency, they still have to make a decision.
Turn it off.
And also there is a wetlands permit now in the process for that Upton Lake. Alexander DeVoe, area variance for an addition to their home on the Shunpike. They were granted that. Justin Merklick, area variance for an above-ground swimming pool on Route 343. He was granted that. These two were granted because it was deemed that their proposals would not be a hindrance to the environment or the neighborhood.
Great.
Okay. Daniel Yadgard. How did this end now? That is tabled till next, the May 16th meeting. Let me just get my note on that. So they need time to make a final decision on determine the clarity on, I believe it's up to you, James, right? To see if the driveway is part of the
Project.
the yard coverage, correct?
I reviewed that request for determination and made it pass it along, so they have that.
They have it now, but they didn't have it prior to the meeting, right? So they now will know prior to the May meeting to move ahead with what they're doing. Okay, very
So
good.
nothing's been done.
So
then.
nothing has been done on that item yet.
Okay.
So, and that's it for zoning.
Good. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Mike,
Just an update on short-term rentals with the help of Jeff. Yesterday, we received the final red line draft of the short-term rental suggested local law that will take place here in the town of Washington. I have to hold a meeting of the committee one more time so that we can approve the red, get that converted to black. And so I'm hoping to be able to present the document to this board in May.
Okay.
Once I present it to your board, this board, we can then determine how to go about the public hearing date and so on. So possibly by July, this can be adopted and people within the town who are operating short-term rentals to know the rules, regulations, and so on. One of the reasons for an extra meeting is we want to incorporate some of the forms that James's office will be working with when the applications and permits are sought.
right?
So that's incorporated. And then we also have to discuss in our meeting, and we'll bring the recommendation to you, what the permit fees will be for anyone that wishes to run a short-term rental in the town. So after 3 years of investigation, about a year of committee work, I think we're done. But we just had some tightening up to do. Once that happens, we have some recommendations on perhaps an outside resource that can help us with tracking the short-term rentals in the town, trying to find who's in compliance, who's not in compliance. In the beginning, it's going to be a little bit burdensome for James's office, because if everybody comes forward looking to get a permit, it might be cumbersome. Once that first phase is done, I think it'll be very smooth moving forward. So that is in hand. I saw one of the committee members outside. He has it. I've sent it to John Parisi and to Bob, and Mary should have gotten a copy.
I have
And I
it.
think obviously Jeff has a copy. So I have to set up a meeting within the next couple of weeks.
Would it be in due diligence for somebody to go on Airbnb and just see what's listed there and make a spreadsheet? Do you know what I
The
mean?
problem, and we've done that, the committee, one of the tasks of the committee was to try and see of the number that the county gave us, where that number of people were within our town. The problem is they're not all listed under the same corporate entity, like they may be under HomeAway, but not under Airbnb. They may be under a VRBO, but not Airbnb. So
But
to
you-
find those, and secondly, the owner is not necessarily who's listed, because some of them are LLCs.
Right.
So under our rules, we're drilling down to find exactly who these people are.
But you would at least have the home address, and then you can contact the homeowner, right?
That whole thing will be, once we
You know
get
what I
this
mean?
law enacted, there's going to be some outreach from our office, the town office, to the entire community saying, if you are running a short-term rental, you must by a certain date come in and ask for a permit. Right now, the permits are for a 2-year period.
Okay.
And it's renewal.
I was just wondering, I just asked because when somebody comes in and then you would already have that checklist, right? And then you would be able to see like after a period of time, who hasn't shown up yet. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yes, and this company that we will be making a recommendation to the board to hire will do all of that
Yeah.
for us.
Oh, okay.
They'll map it out. They'll actually know who the emergency person is to call if a complaint comes in and so on and so forth. Dutchess County uses the same company. There are, I think, 11 towns or 9 towns that are using them right now.
Yeah.
So we will probably contract with that same
So
company.
if somebody has one in the village that doesn't
Village
apply to
is-
this, they have to do their own.
They have to do it on. And so what I have done is spoken to a member of the village board who is working on that project. Told them when we have ours done, which is almost done, share that with them so that they can adopt their own.
Good one.
The next thing on my agenda was the recreation program, and I believe Danielle is.
Danielle gave us a pretty
The
thorough
only thing I will
report.
add to what Mary said about Jonathan, I was up there a couple of days ago when Tom Fiore was there walking around with Jonathan on the pond, the filter system, the pool, and I'm impressed. I mean, he's very knowledgeable, very forthcoming, wants to learn, active. I'm going to spend some time walking around with him, kind of educate him on what the needs of the fields are for when programs are enacted. And then when Bobby gets back, we have about 5 individuals from the town who are in the trades, who will walk around with us and point out some things that need to be addressed. And then working with this board, and Leslie has expressed interest, is to perhaps identify grant opportunities where we may be able to pull some monies in to help improve some of the facilities up there, or add some amenities to the facility up there that the community is seeking.
Yeah.
Such as, there's a big demand for pickleball, the basketball court up there needs to be resurfaced, the parking driveway, the driveway itself. There's all kinds of things that we can use that property in much more.
Right.
And now that Danielle has worked very, very successfully on working out the rental fees and getting that all kind of going, I think we're well on our way to really elevating that jewel in the community to an even higher level.
Yeah.
The last thing, and Mary already mentioned it, the Ethics Committee is not totally completed their education on ethics law to everyone in the town, as far as elected officials and volunteers on committees. And they are also going to institute public meetings, just like CAC meets publicly, zoning meets publicly, recreation meets publicly. They will have a couple of public meetings, not necessarily to receive complaints, because if they receive a complaint, it automatically becomes confidential, but to just let the community know what protocols and procedures are, to use them and what they're here for. So that will follow up with Pam.
Yeah.
And that's mine.
Just to follow up, and I don't even know if you're aware of it or not, but Danielle has had Jonathan come down here. I don't know whether you noticed outside, spruced it up really nice.
Yeah. I think we've got a great opportunity with him.
Yeah.
And I have to also say that Danielle is a gem for us. She has done
We know this. Right.
you've really done a phenomenal
Yeah,
job
we
in
know.
elevating the recreation department and bringing it back to what we all expect of the department. So thank you so much, Danielle.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's got a very good board too.
Yep.
All right, I feel like we're probably all ready for pizza and beer here, so I don't want to keep us
Sounds good to
too long.
me.
I'm sorry, I've got a lot of things on my docket here, but I'll keep it quick. Update on suggestions on zoning code, we talked about that earlier. The planning board met on April 4th. There was just 2 applications before them. One was a Majid application. They were looking to do, Mr. Majid was looking to do some construction. He didn't have enough acreage to do what he was looking to do with the he had less than 20 acres, and he wanted to do 2 different structures. Anyway, his brother passed away, and the adjoining lot was owned by the brother. So he has now, he is now asked that, I guess they're going to combine the properties, or the brother bequeathed the lot to him. So now he will be able to he'll have 35 acres to be able to do what he wants to do without getting any kind of special permit or variance for the additional structure on his property. So the planning board approved the combination of the 2 properties as long as he can provide documentation to substantiate that his brother has died and that his brother has left the property to him. So that's an approval pending that documentation. Upton Lake is, Joe mentioned it, it's a school who has got all kinds of, they haven't really finalized their plans, and so there's a concern over wetlands and where they want to put various driveways. A lot of that acreage is in the town of Clinton. The contractor went back. Steve Marino went on our behalf to flag the site for the area to show where the wetlands are. They still need, they presented site plan maps, but they're still not clear about where certain things will be located, and so they're going to come back again for more, with more information at the next planning board meeting. The planning board then spent some time discussing the recommendations that they were going to make to us regarding updates to the code, which we all have received. The CAC met on April 5th. There was discussion at that meeting. Howard, who had attended the planning board meeting, updated them on the applications before the planning board. Upton Lake again was brought up, and discussion around the wetlands question there. Margaret Schneibel, chair of the CAC, and I updated the committee on our work on the climate smart communities, and also on the joint NRI work that we're doing with Clinton and Village. And then they too discussed their recommendations to the town board for their updates to our zoning code. Update on NRI. We have had great conversations and meetings with the DEC and with the town of Clinton and the village of Millbrook. We've been doing a lot of work on mapping, giving them the maps that they need. They're kind of going back to the different resources that they have, Cornell and others, to come together with all of their maps. So the idea is we're going to have very comprehensive maps of all of our natural resources. And I just saw tonight that they posted something. What was that map, Margaret? I just didn't have a chance to read it. Okay. So Steve from Cornell provided another group of maps for us to take a look at. So that's been a terrific exercise. And the next step is, as part of our participation, because they're providing us with all this technical map assistance, we are supposed to be doing some public outreach and education to inform the community about what is an NRI, and just to educate them on what our process is. And so we have scheduled to have a table at the farmers market. We'll have reps from the village and reps from our group, which is Richard, Phillips, me, and Margaret for the NRI. And we have one table scheduled for June, one for July, one for August. They suggested that we send an email out to the community. So I'll check in with Mary on that. If we can just say we're doing NRI, here's what it is, here's what it means, here's what our steps are, here's when we're having these booths if you want to come look at our maps and give us any thoughts or feedback. So that's kind of part of their exercise. We also are responsible for drafting kind of the content of the report around historical background around the town and the village. So we're working on that, and Margaret's been terrific leading on all of that as well. CSC, I just wanted to bring this to you to show you all what this looks like. This is the Climate Smart Communities Action List. And actually there are about 100 pages that are missing from this because Margaret photocopied them. So I just wanted, we've been going through this with the CSC group, which is Margaret, Richard, Phillips, me, Adelaide Camillo, Elizabeth Bellin, Colleen Howland, Pam Scott, and Shannon Ledoux. And so Cornell is terrific. They're helping us come up with a roadmap or plan, an actions list, which we go through each of. This is all the state actions that we can take. The state mandates these actions that we can take to become climate smart, to get points. So we're going through and saying, okay, does this apply to our town at all? If it does apply, is it something we want to look at from 1 to 3 years or something we want to look at in 3 to 5 years? Once we've gone through that whole exercise, we're going to come to the town board and say, here's all of the things that we could do. What do you think? What's your feedback? And then we'll come up with kind of a priority list. Some things we're already doing that we can get credit for, like the electric charging stations. There's a whole host of things. And actually, a lot of them are around natural resources inventory, educating the public. So we're going to get credit. There's things in here we're going to get credit for doing already, which is great. We wrote a letter to support the Case University Land Use Law Center to do this training with the Hudson River Estuary Program. And I'm just going to, and so after they actually ended up getting the grant, and they are doing this work with the Hudson River Alliance. And so I sent you all an email about that. They're having these trainings basically to teach or to provide municipalities with more information about things they think that towns should consider around future land development and watershed protection. So we were invited to participate in this training. There are 3 days that we're required to go, April 28th, May 5th, and May 12th, and Margaret and I are going. Anyone is welcome to go. Howard, this might be up your alley. Are you sure you want to come with us? We can, no? Okay. Anyone who's on the town board, CAC.
Been there, done that.
Okay, well, anyway, we are going. We will report back on our findings from that training. And that's all. That's all I've got.
All right.
I mean, the environmental stuff is really, it's very important, but it is not.
Well, thank you
It
for
is
saving it
dense.
to the end.
I know.
Okay, so we're at the public comment portion of the meeting. So
That's me?
you gentlemen have any business?
No, you go on.
No, you go first.
Okay, I just wanted, my name is Pierre Duano, I wanted to introduce myself. I have a contract to purchase the former Daytop building institution, so I need to convert it. So I was particularly interested in the beginning of this meeting when you talked about hospitality in the village of the town of Washington and village of Millbrook.
You have purchased the property?
I'm about to.
You're about
I'm planning to. But
Okay.
I was very curious about the conversation
Okay,
tonight, as we see to turn it into a
sure.
hotel and restaurant, and really bring it back to what it was like in 1912 when it got built.
Beautiful building. Yep.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to introduce myself, and I look forward to working with
Thank you.
everyone in this room, whoever was here before. And
Spell your name for me?
you didn't get it? My first name is Pierre, Pierre, and last name is Dourneau, Dourneau. And I'm happy to share my phone number and email with anyone.
Thank you.
If you would
You
like.
want to leave your email with me? That would be terrific.
I will.
Yeah.
So,
That's exciting. It's nice to hear that.
so you're from France then?
I am,
You have
yeah.
to
I've
be,
worked in
right?
hospitality for nearly 30 years now. I grew up in the south of France in Nice. I was kind of classically trained in Monte Carlo. Then I moved to England when I was 21.
How did you come here?
So I have to tell you, I've been coming in the area for nearly 12 years. A very good friend of mine had a house in Clinton Corners. Actually, a friend of mine, she still has a house in Clinton Corners and
Okay.
has a business in Millbrook, Anthony Todd.
Oh, yeah.
Who has the furniture store. And one of my very good friends and potential business partners
Okay.
also lives in Millerton up the road. So I've been coming in.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we have a house on the Connecticut side in New Milford. I've been coming around here for a long time.
Oh,
Nice.
I've seen the property in May.
That's exciting for us.
Pleasure to meet
Yeah,
you.
nice meeting you.
Thank you for coming. Did you have anything you wanted to add to it?
No, I was just.
You're with them? Okay.
Yes,
With them, so.
All right.
Keeping him company. Sorry, guys.
It's easier to pronounce, so I won't bother you.
You came to a tough meeting, but we're happy that you stuck it out, right?
No, it's
and
normal.
share your news.
You know, I used to run 17 properties across the United States, so I know it works, and I know the timing and.
Right.
Have you been watching this whole process take place, of the whole comprehensive plan update for a long time, or you kind of knew this?
Not for so long, but I've definitely, you know, started to look at it very, very seriously from the beginning of the year and found information online and read a lot on what's available and also the issues you might have running with other development. But,
Well, James is our building inspector.
I've met you.
And You're gonna get to know each other very well.
Very, very helpful.
Good.
I just wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good evening.
The comprehensive plans, is that, I do a lot of property development so far. It seems like everybody's going through the new comprehensive plan. Is it state mandated now? or-
No.
Oh, okay,
We just do it every
10.
every 10 years.
Oh, okay.
It might be, are comprehensive plans state mandated for towns?
You have to have one
Yeah.
in order to have a zoning. code.
Exactly, okay,
Right.
so it is, it just depends
the
on where
updates.
you are in the, because they get updated every, well, actually.
It's up to the
reading it,
town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of them are every 10 years.
Okay, then you see a lot of communities breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did ours, last time we did ours 2015, so
Yeah, it's not an easy task.
we're starting a process now only because hospitality stimulated us to take an earlier look rather than waiting till 2025. But in 2025, we've got to look at the entire document. Right now, we're looking at a segment of that document right now.
You did a good job to get through it.
Yes, right.
Takes
No,
a
when
lot.
I saw that spinning chairs, normally that's not a good sign.
You know, we've
For
had
sure.
so much community interest in the subject, and so you saw people were on Zoom and here, I think they were just, you know, interested to
All my
see the.
experience is they're upset when they come and
Yeah.
they don't.
But we've had that too, we have that too, just not tonight.
Yeah.
Right, the
Yes.
opposite, yeah, exactly, not tonight.
Yeah.
But,
If I can ask a question, did I understand correctly, it's about 6 months process before the we get zoned?
Yes.
At least 6 months from one.
Plus or minus, yes.
Are you a community-wide rezoning, or is it just the properties, or?
So part of what's the recommendation in the addendum is that we look at establishing hospitality overlays in 2 areas. I think it designates Washington Hollow and the area outside the village, which is where, I think where,
I believe where your
Daytop is.
Daytop is, yeah.
so we would look to develop our zoning code in defining what hospitality overlay zones are, and what the Nan was explaining, who was the consultant that was on earlier, that we have to kind of determine where those property lines or the zone lines are. That's not defined yet, and then kind of write the code around the recommendations that we got from the addendum itself.
I do commend you on it, because a lot of people will wait and face of development. It's changing, the communities are keeping up.
Right.
Yeah, you almost have to.
And we're not the only community. In fact, if you were to go out 44 into Armenia and then go near the Connecticut border, there's a spa restaurant out there already that's looking to expand, and they're having the same kind of community conversation on what's going to be allowed, what's not going to be allowed, and so on. So it's happening everywhere,
Well, you're ahead of
which
it.
is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, thanks very
Best
much.
wishes to you too.
Thank
with your
you.
plan.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Have a good night now.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, can you still hear us, and do you want to add anything? He's not.
No, he's good.
Sign language.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now Howard can speak.
Howard wants to take my place at one of the training dates? Howard, you're so nice. 9 to 3 in Beacon, come on.
Are you getting tired, Howard?
James, did you have anything you wanted to talk to us about?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you for hanging around, and Danielle, you as well.
Television.
Good.
Howard?
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Well,
Do we still need to make the motion, Jeff, to close the public hearing, or?
No, we're
No,
Since
we're
it's
tabled
delayed,
it.
okay.
we continue it. Yeah.
Right,
Bills?
Yeah, motion to pay the bills.
okay. All right, I make a motion to,
Second.
do we close it?
Yep.
All right, we close it, right?
Close what?
The meeting.
No, we keep the meeting
No.
open, we sign bills, and
Bye,
then we
Margaret.
close the meeting when the bills are signed.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Margaret, we might take a moment.
We've always made a motion to adjourn.
no,
Yes, we have.
at the end
At
of
the end.
signing.
Are we not?
After
off
we're
the-
done.
No, we're still, Zoom is still on.
Okay.
So we're going into sign meeting, or sign,
We're gonna go sign bills now.
so meeting's over.
Didn't, we always made a motion to adjourn and then
No.
Get out of here.
We have given people the opportunity to stay.
If any of you want to stay and say something, you're more than welcome to. If you don't want to stay while they sign bills, you may sign off, so.
Right.
You're kind of right, though.
But we never
Well,
made a
we
motion to
adjourned.
close it, we adjourned
Right.
to sign bills.
You go make a motion to pay the bills.
Right.
Is what we do. And then we generally, if no one's there, we turn it off.
Just so you know.
Daytime.
Good. Somebody's buying data. Great. That's great. That is great.
So that guy is the guy I told you about,
We're still,
that his,
Are you still on?
partner and friend from Millerton, he's talking about, is a friend, mom friend of mine from school. And,
He did.
Oh.
he has been head of.
Good night, Howard. Thank you.